Cheers.
It's more it's more for me so I can line up all the audio and video later on.
Right, like in skating when they mark it.
Yeah, a little double thing there. So,
Yeah.
Mitch, how are you, mate?
I am well.
We were just talking before. It's been a while since we've actually got to catch up and have a beer and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be at least 4 years.
It's at least 4 or 5 years since we both played at Stockies for sure. Yeah. That was a while ago, and then we were trying to figure out if we'd run into each other. I'm sure we would have just run into each other.
I swear there was one time where it was at last minute. I needed the DJ, and I didn't see you, but I got you to do a gig or something. I can't
could
remember.
have been. Yeah, I do remember that. I don't know where or what it was or anything
one of
about it.
those like panic last minute. Fuck.
Can you do
who's
this?
available?
Oh yeah, man. I guess I can. Yeah.
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 And sometimes it works out perfectly when someone hits you up and you're like, oh great, that fills in this spot. But
Yeah. When you got a little gap.
when you got that ticking time bomb of like, I got to find a DJ in the next 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Or this venue's going to be quiet.
Yeah. It's gonna be annoying.
Oh, I've done too many of those.
Yeah. So you just said you were at
It's called a rage cage.
a rage cage. Is this similar to a panic room? Is that or no, not at all?
I think a panic room is where you go into when there's like a terrorist in the building. No,
Yeah.
a rage cage.
Oh, I mean like the ones you go for fun where you got to like figure out how to get out. Like
Oh,
there's
like
all
an
mysteries.
escape room.
Escape room.
Right.
Panic room, escape room.
No, this is where you just go and break shit. So
Oh, cool.
I didn't know there was one in Brisbane. It's in Highgate Hill. I promise I'm not sponsored by the Rage Cage. I just came from
Yeah,
there.
they should be though. Should be.
No, you pay and you get a crate full of plates and glasses, and you can pay for like a monitor, a guitar, TV screen, and they just give you a bat and like a sledgehammer, and you just go into this cage and just
nuts.
break things, and it's fantastic. You just throw glasses at the wall, throw plates in the air, smash them with this steel baseball bat.
Man, that's a great. Like, I actually have seen or heard of that like on some documentary or TV show in the States, and they're like in a junkyard,
Yeah.
basically doing like a similar thing.
Well,
just
there's one down the
destroying
road.
shit.
We're in Wollongabba. There's one in
Yeah.
Highgate Hill.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
I
man.
recommend it.
How
And
did you find out about this? Like, was this just something you and some mates were doing, or
No,
what?
my fiance randomly
Yeah,
booked it because I was
Yeah.
having a stressful week. So she's like, I got you this thing on Friday.
yeah,
And then she told me what it was. I was like, sick, because I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And it was real, not just therapeutic, but I was really happy. Like, you feel fantastic afterwards. And they play
Yeah.
they play like rock music and screamo music.
Yeah.
And you just go ham for like 10 minutes.
because it's something that you can't do normally, really. Like, because then
What
you're
you've
gonna
always
have to,
wanted to do.
Yeah, you've always wanted to do it, but you can't do it because you're either gonna have to clean
Yeah.
it up, get in big shit, or
I
whatever
recommend it.
is.
And
yeah.
you can even get like a beer jug full of like that coloured powder.
Yeah,
So I got some good videos of smashing that in slow motion.
sick.
And it all explodes
yeah,
everywhere.
that'd be dope.
Yeah, man. If you hit a plate, like a dinner plate,
Yeah.
with a steel baseball bat, man, it goes everywhere.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. Like, I'd love to do that sometime. That'd be real fun for like. Are you allowed to be? Do they breath test you on arrival? Like, could you imagine like getting
Yeah,
real smashed and then
It
going there
said
for like a
on the
bucks or
form,
something?
are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the form.
So you just have to tick no.
yeah,
and
just tick
they'll
no.
never know, yeah.
Be careful though, because yeah, there's stuff going everywhere. They give you like
Yeah.
a suit and gumboots and like a
Yeah,
mask.
so there's some protection, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be so fun when you're drunk though. Like
yeah.
just a group of guys for $1.
Well, it's one person at a time, otherwise someone's
Yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah.
But yeah, good
that'd be
fun.
pretty funny.
Recommend it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I love that idea of, and I think that's something, that where was that kind of an idea 10, 20 years ago, like they didn't really have anything like that, but it's not like it's a new technology or something crazy.
Yeah,
we've
I've always
found.
wondered like how do you run that business? Like, do you just go to thrift stores and or people donate? I don't know. I suppose
Surely you just have to be trying to get secondhand stuff as cheap as possible.
yeah, because you have to buy some sort of TV screen, like,
Yeah.
to smash.
How
it.
much does a TV screen cost nowadays? Like a CRT one you're talking? Like
Well, like an
the
old one.
big
It's
ones,
probably
yeah.
fucked and doesn't
The ones that
work.
are vacuum that when you hit, you just like tap the glass and it goes.
Yeah, he's
like
got
pops.
the best ones. Well, I didn't get to do this one, but it was like those old boxy ones where it's like
Yeah.
like those first MacBooks that came out. They got
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
thing on the back because
Yeah.
when you hit it, it doesn't just break the glass. It's like all the circuitry kind of like it's like an explosion of
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, that's sick.
Good fun.
Yeah, man. That would be interesting to see how they do that, like how they work that, because I'm sure you can get heaps of like free old shit.
He had a lot of plates.
Just Gumtree.
Yeah.
They just troll Gumtree and just try and take everyone's shit.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about music first. Like we met at Stockies, I guess. We didn't meet before then, did we?
No, I think it was Stockies.
I think that would have been Stockies.
I remember because I didn't recognize you, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen this guy."
Yeah,
before.
who's this guy? Yeah. So what? And we were just talking earlier before the podcast about sort of the 4 years before that, like how good it was there and stuff. But where did you start? Like, where was your first place that you started playing, and how'd you get into it?
My first club and how I got into it slightly different. So how did my first club ever was the Port Office Hotel.
Oh man, the
I
Porto.
can probably tell this story now. So
The Porto was. Oh, man, that used to be classic.
Sorry, that's not that bad. So the week before, I tried to get in underage with my brother's fake ID.
Yep.
And the security guard looked at the ID, then looked at me and was just like, "No,
No, it's like no.
fuck off."
Did you look like?
Of
So you
course
obviously
not.
didn't look much.
Well,
like him.
kind of, but no, he was just like, "No."
Yeah. It's like no, this isn't you.
And then why I decided to go there, I don't know. Because the next week I was booked to play a gig,
Oh really?
and they didn't know
So
I was underage.
had you? Oh wait, so you
didn't know.
organised the gig beforehand?
Yeah, they booked me in to play
Yeah.
the next week.
Yeah.
And I, being an idiot, was like, "Oh, let's go this week," because I was
check it
out
out.
with a bunch of friends.
So, I'm playing next week. It's my
Yeah.
gig.
So, and then I went the next week, 7 days later, and the security guard was like, "No." And then the general manager was like, "Are you 17?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, well, damn. Okay, well, you're here now."
Yeah.
So then I played there, and I had it was my brother's 21st that night, so we had it was lined through the door because they were all
Yeah.
coming there after to see my first club gig.
Yeah.
But so he kind of had no choice.
Yeah.
But we did such a good job that I ended up having a residency there. Actually, I had 3 residencies when I was 17. I had the Port Office Hotel, the Boundary Hotel, and our place.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what year was this? Like, what are we talking here? 17. What year?
I graduated so would it be 2012?
Yep.
2012, I
Yep,
think.
cool.
Yeah. And then, but how I first got into it, I remember I've always loved music. I played piano since I was in grade 1.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Joey Darin, who's now young Franco.
Yep.
He'd played around on Audacity, and he'd made this mashup. And same with Danilo Maruco, a guy I was in school with. And I heard him. One of them mixed a song, and one of them mashed up a song, and I was like, "Oh my god, how did you do that?"
Yeah. That's cool.
And then they showed me Audacity, which is so clunky, but I
Yeah.
played with that. And then I got Virtual DJ, the first thing that I got. And I just was like, this is the sickest thing I've ever done in my life. This is amazing. And then just became instantly obsessed with it and just kept going down that path, and then bought a controller that was terrible, and then learned, and then bought a tractor thing, and then just kept, and every day I was playing. I loved it. And then it's funny how everyone intertwines. And then Nick Marchesi, who owns Orange Sky Laundry. They wash all the clothes for homeless people. He won Australian of the Year. They're absolute legends. Great guy.
That's sweet.
But at the time, he was like, because I was DJing, and I was I'd make mixes and bring him into the class. And in the class, they'd let us play it on the thing. So I was doing all the stuff and showing everyone. I'm exporting it onto my phone and showing other people.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you DJ, I've got speakers. Let's do a party."
Yeah.
We were like, "Oh, why not?" And then it was a big party. It was just a good thing. One of those rowing things where heaps of private school kids go to it. Anyway, crushed it. There was 200 or 300 people there, and we smashed it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "We should keep doing this." I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, man." So and then I created my first company called Pogo Entertainment, and we would do DJing, the speakers and the DJ, and then we'd do photography, and then we tried security, but it was too much of a fuck around. But then that just kept happening, and then our marketing was really good, and then we took that into the clubs, and then I did that at Port Office, and then the Stock Exchange Hotel was like, "Hey, come do it for us instead." And then I was just sort of skilled, but also a bit of luck, right place at the right time.
Yeah.
All my friends were turning 18, all my brother's friends were turning 21, and it was just good timing.
Good timing, yeah.
And then Patrick Donahue, who owns Famous, or at the time it was Hot Gossip, and I'd never met him before, and he said, "Hey, I've been watching you for a little while," and I was like, "It's kind of creepy. Who is this guy?"
Yeah.
And then he said, "Do you want to come work at Hot Gossip?" And I was like, "Sweet." And
Yeah.
then Patrick is a fantastic guy. Ended up becoming my sort of second dad. And then that just kept leading into other things, and then that led to playing in Thailand, and then all over the place. I've played nearly everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kept happening. But the thing is, a lot of DJs, they're kind of shit, and then they get a club gig. I'd spent a year, maybe 2 years getting good before I did the club gig, so that it was actually really good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, because some people, they just yeah. You got to be ready, I think, because
Yeah.
otherwise you'll
You
have
got to
a
put
bit
in
of
the
hype.
work.
And you got to be good.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is that the general manager doesn't care who you are, how many followers you have. In places like Brisbane, they care about making money. So can you make money on the bar, and can you keep people here?
Yeah.
So if you learn how to read a room and just play to the venue and be versatile, you will be much more successful because you're reliable, you're consistent, and you make money.
Yeah.
If you're some hotshot, they don't care if you don't make money.
And that's the hardest thing to do, really, because all that stuff you just said about reading a room and, doing what the club wants is a lot of that's experience. Like, you don't really, like, how do you read a room? And it's like, well, there's certain things you do, but it's not really something that is, like, widely out there that's taught
It's
openly.
not, because
like, you can find beat matching easily. Like, it's easy to look up how to beat match.
Yeah.
It's easy how to look up, all these different technical things.
Yeah.
But when it comes to those things of, like, when everyone says, oh, you got to have experience kind of thing, that's how you learn it.
Well, there's reading a room, but then also knowing how to execute it. Like reading a room and going, okay, what would suit this right now?
Yeah.
So when because I work at Birdies and they do all the your shot competitions, and I'll DJ afterwards, and then all the your shot, I got so many your shot kids being like, what tips have you got, man? I said, dude, learn how to read a room and don't be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Don't be a cocky, I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
If you can do those things, you will have more gigs than you can handle.
Yeah.
Because if you want to play drum and bass at 9:30 at the Elephant Hotel, it's not going to work, and they're not going to call you back.
Yeah, that's it. It's got to be appropriate, and you've got to learn what that is. And people always say, "Oh, how do I get a gig at this venue?" And I'm like, "Well, like, how often do you go there?" "Oh, I go there all the time." "What time do you go?" "Oh, I usually get there like 12:30, 1 o'clock." It's like, no, man, you got to see what else like.
And that's not when you're going to be playing.
Exactly. That's the first thing. So you've got to go and you've got to experience the other parts, because if you just submit a mix that's a banging headliner set.
Yeah. And you got to pay your dues. Like you can't just go straight into headlining.
Yeah.
And you also shouldn't, because you need to be sort of ready for that, so that when you have certain opportunities where a really good gig comes along and you want to absolutely crush it. So I see a lot of DJs are like, oh man, I only play this music, or I only want a headline. And it's like, well, it's that you can't. Two things. One, that's hard to do. Like, you need to pay your dues. And two, you actually, if you want to have this as your full-time income, playing a 1 hour set once a week at the biggest club is actually not going to support that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
you've got to have other things then you're doing.
Yeah, you got to do your pubs. You got to do your this. You got to do like, the ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
Like, man, I would drive from Wollongabba out to Eden's Hill for a 45-minute set, come back to like the Valley or like Capulet or something and play there, and then close at Stocky. So you would be doing 9 p.m. till 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday, and then Thursday you do 3 or 4 hours. Like, at one point
maybe a Sunday arvo too.
At one point I was DJing 6 nights a week, Tuesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah, man.
But
for sure,
you got to do it.
When I was at uni up in Townsville, I think when I did like full time for a while, I do Tuesday nights because that's a big student cheap night in the city.
Yeah.
So I do Tuesday nights, Thursday nights at the uni club because that was the big student night at uni, and then Friday, Saturday, generally not a Sunday, but like I used to have the graveyard shift on Saturdays, like till 5.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to get up on like Monday. I have to get up at 8 for a lecture, or 8 o'clock lecture.
That's brutal.
So like I just literally have to go home on a Sunday and like sleep till like 10, 11, and then just get up and be tired the whole day and like stay up and then go to sleep at a normal hour so that I could just reset the body clock. Like Sundays were the absolute worst.
One of the other things is that if one of the hardest things to do is be a warm-up DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Headlining's not that hard.
No.
Headlining, you just play bangers. You can play whatever you want, and because there's such a big crowd, you can play some weird shit, and if they don't know it, it's okay because there's such a big crowd.
And they're drunk by then.
Warm-up is hard.
Yeah.
Warm-up, you have to get people from not dancing at all to ready for the headliner.
Yeah.
But
not too hard.
Yeah,
not too
because
hard.
then you'll ruin the headline set, and also they'll run out of energy and then stop dancing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I was probably really good at and have done a lot at Birdies and like Famous and those and Hot Gossip, where you can warm up the crowd so it's energetic, but it's not too energetic, but it's not too slow that it's boring, because it's very different to a closed set. And I think if you can be a good warm up DJ, you'll get heaps of gigs.
Yeah.
And you'll do a headline every now and then, and that's fine. But I actually like, There's a challenge in warming up that I kind of like.
Opening and warming up, I think they're like warming up's harder.
Well, opening, like, sometimes there's no one there for the whole set.
Wow.
Depends.
It's true, sometimes, yeah. But, you want to sort of get it. I suppose you want to warm it up for the warm-up person so they don't have to go from an empty dance floor to have
like
a few
10
people.
till 12 is crucial.
Yeah.
If you can crush that, and the thing is, it depends on your personality. The warm-up DJ doesn't get any respect. Well, they don't get recognition.
Yeah.
They go, oh, the headliner's here, it makes a noise for blah, blah, and there's a crowd. But the important people will know how you're reliable you are, like the general managers and the other DJs and people in the entertainment industry.
And even a lot of the headliners who come through, like they will, if someone's done a really good warm-up for them, they'll be like, man, that was sick. Like, thank you. That was good. Like you've set the scene for me to come and smash it now.
Absolutely. If I was going hard in DJing still, I would probably become like the warm-up guy.
Yeah.
So that when, fucking Calvin Harris or whoever big dogs come, they're like, this guy has to play before him.
Yeah.
And that's a niche that not many people are doing. Everyone wants to be the headliner.
Yeah.
But they're so competitive and it's all kind of the same. And maybe this is bad advice, but if it were me, I would become that guy who they could count on, and you'd be the warm-up person.
Yeah, yeah. For all the big gigs that come in and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to do though, like you said, it's one of the harder sets to really nail.
But if you get it, you'll have so many gigs.
And it's so much of that reading the crowd, isn't it too? Because
Big time.
You've got to warm them up and it depends on the artist who's there, and that'll change who the crowd is that comes to see it.
Yeah.
And the genre they play and how hard do they play, or are they a bit more chilled and funky? So what do you got to do?
I have to do it every week. I have to do 2 warm-ups in one set, because what happens is I'll play at Birdies from 9 till 11, or not like, let's say 9 till 12. And you play 9 till 10:30, and you get a bit of a crowd, and sometimes it's going well. And then at 10:30 they open upstairs, so that Toddy comes on the mic and says upstairs is now open. So you lose everybody.
Yeah.
So then you fucking start again, and you start again from 10:30 to 12 or 10:30 to 11 or whatever, and then you have to do it twice, and it's kind of like, man, I just had him, and then you got to do it again. But because I've sort of mastered that, you can get a gig whenever you want. You know what I mean? Like if you can become that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Good skill to have.
I think it's interesting you said like virtual DJ you started on. Like that's like the number of people who have been on this show that tell me that they started on virtual DJ is actually like ridiculous. More than any other thing, people start on virtual DJ.
Yeah.
More than Tractor, Serato,
I think
CDJs.
it's one of the only ones you can use without a controller. Like you can sort of click around and
it also has DJ in the name. So if you don't know anything about it, virtual DJ, like
you're not gonna look up Serato. Like,
that sounds like it must be for DJing. Like I'll download that. And I think is it free?
I think it is, but it's funny because it's like,
I mean, it's
if you use it, no one takes you seriously.
Yeah, but I mean, nowadays, like I feel like all the like controllers and the other stuff is so much more well known, especially through Your Shot and all that kind of stuff, that it's sort of like, well, virtual DJ, it's.
I don't know if they've like evolved or innovated. I've no idea. I remember I've only ever seen one guy in a club use it.
Man, we should set it up one time and everyone try and use it. Like, surely you can. It must have some MIDI.
Mate, just hit sync and you're good to go.
Virtual DJ. I'm gonna send you this video. You should sponsor us and we'll do some shit.
Yeah, we'll make you great again. Make virtual DJ great again.
Even around, yeah. That's cool. I love that sort of mentality of what you're talking about. Is like nailing that warm up spot that, like we said, is so important.
Yeah.
People don't even think about that and like I said, people go, oh no, I usually get there 12:30, 1 o'clock.
And if you can play a good warm up set, you can play a banging headline set. You know what I mean?
Headline set's easy.
Headline's easy. You can
Anyone
scream
can just
banana
play
into the
bangers.
microphone and they'll go,
Yeah. And you can just play all the most popular or whatever, like that you've got.
You can play the same song 3 times one set. Like it's
yeah.
I mean, with respect to headline DJs, because you can fuck up a headline set where you just do not read a room at all.
Yeah.
It's funny. We've actually found that when we have like a celebrity and the guest, their official DJs, they suck.
Yeah.
Because they'll like play what they want to play, and sometimes that just does not work.
Yeah.
I remember we had to kick Danny Brown's DJ off because he was just awful.
Yeah.
And sometimes like the residents, because they know the venue so well, they know the customers.
That's it. Yeah.
They do a really good job. Like some venues, it's better without guest DJs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the residents are so
And also because Brisbane is so one-dimensional on like the music that they want. It's like I love DJing, but the more you do it, and you sort of get frustrated with like how much people do not want change.
Yeah.
They want top 40.
Yeah.
I remember I was explaining it to my niece or something, and I was saying, imagine painting the same painting every day.
Yeah.
And when you tried to paint a different one, they go, no,
No.
do that one
just
that we
want
like.
That one that we like. Yeah.
Do the old one. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then you start, so I wish that it depends on the venue, but I wish that people were more open-minded to hearing new things. Like when I was in Melbourne, I was at a bar and I didn't know a single song that was played, but it was great vibes and I was having fun.
I
was like, "Man, this
love
song's
that so
sick."
much. That is absolutely my favorite thing, to
Yeah.
go somewhere and not know any of the songs.
Yeah.
But as long as it's good, it has to be good. Like, you
Yeah.
can't go and know none of the songs and they're all like terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's going to be good. But I would actually prefer that than hearing, the same level of quality, how much I like the songs.
Yeah, yeah.
If I don't know them as if I do, because I don't know, I just enjoy it.
Yeah,
better.
it's like
surprising, like you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to come next.
I always laugh because I was thinking when you're playing, Be Faithful, yeah, Usher, all that stuff. I'm like, do people listen to this at home or in their car? Like, because I was like, how after all this time is this still what people want? And then I thought maybe they only hear it in a club, and because they don't go clubbing that often, it's exciting when it comes on. Like, do people listen to Be Faithful by Fat Man Scoop in their car? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? It's sort of like that nostalgia thing for a lot of music, I think.
R&B Fridays, Hit When I Fire. I hate that they did that because it just like made us. We were just sort of escaping having to
Getting
play
out
the
of that
same
world.
things every weekend, and it's like Hit 105 is like R&B Fridays. Like, it's not even R&B. It's just like.
It's so interesting too, because I can't remember. I was just on another podcast during the week, and I was talking to them about how it used to be, like the club scene, like 15 years ago almost, like in the mid 2000s, and that when a lot of tracks, the only way you could get them and play them and hear them was if you bought one of the 10 that came in on vinyl.
Yeah.
To whatever record store you were going to. So there's only 10 copies in Brisbane. So if you're at home, you can't listen to that track.
Right.
Like, it's, you know what I mean? The internet wasn't as, diverse in finding all the music that you can.
Yeah, and a couple of years after that, I remember I'd hear a song on Triple J and you'd have to email them like, hey, you played a song around like 4:12 p.m. It kind of said these lyrics, and they're like, oh, it might have been one of these.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, you didn't have this. You could just listen to any song in the world you want at any time. So if you were out and Mitch was playing, a set, and you heard a song that you loved, and that song was one of the ones that there's only 10 that have come in. There's only 10 people in Brisbane who you can hear that from.
Yeah.
And so you would go out because Mitch is playing, because I know I heard him play that track on that white label that I know that no one else has. So the only place that I can literally hear that is to go to Fridays, Stockies, wherever you're playing, and see you play, because only 10 people have it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's
That's
totally...
probably before my time, I think.
Yeah, but now it's the total opposite. It's like everyone can hear it anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, now it's like, I've got Spotify. Look, play this from my phone.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Sorry, am I not meant to swear?
No, you can say whatever you want, man. No, go for it. But like, it used to be so different, because you literally would go there because you're like, I can't hear that song anywhere else. Like, and it was such the opposite of, I can't listen to it anywhere. That's why I want to hear it. Not, I listen to this all the time, so I want to hear it. So,
and that's why I always liked like Magic City and Mystique, because they were the only places you could go to hear actual like R&B hip hop music.
Yeah.
Whereas everywhere says they play R&B, but it's just top 40.
I don't
R&B.
think anywhere really plays R&B. Like,
Famous.
Famous still would play
Famous
R&B.
actually, I love playing at
Famous
Famous
would,
because it's like, it's just
I haven't been in there since it's Famous. I remember
It's awesome.
when it was Hot Gossip, like ages ago, and someone mentioned it the other week. They're like, oh, I remember Hot Gossip, and I was like, yeah, what is that place now? Like, where is it? And then someone was like, oh, it's Famous. So I was like, oh, that's where I was like, really? They're the same place? And
yeah, they renovated it like crazy. It's
Yeah.
probably my favorite place to go to. It's so much fun, and the music's like, so the side room is all old school actual R&B, like not like real cool like slow jams. Well, not necessarily slow jams, just like
like old R&B, not like the modern R&B.
Yeah, but then the main room's like it's more hip hop, but it's not just Chris Brown. They'll also play like YG, and they'll play like Logic, and they'll play like all sorts of like cool stuff.
Yeah. It's not just the popular top 40 sort of
when they're like R&B night, Be Faithful. It's like
yeah,
or like Ride With Me by Nelly. It's like, do you have anything else?
Yeah,
like that. I like those songs, but good lord, how many times have I heard that? How many times have you heard Yeah by Usher?
It just reminds me of commercial, like you know, to be honest, it reminds me of going out when I first started going out, like the mid 2000s.
And maybe that's why people like it. But
And that's what I was into back then, all that stuff. You know,
yeah,
because
because
I
that's
wasn't
when
a
it came
dance
out, not
music.
15 years later when it's like, good lord.
I wasn't a dance music guy back then, you know.
Yeah.
And we hadn't had the big EDM, you know, bubble.
Funnily enough, I started with house music.
Yeah.
Like Ministry of Sound. Ministry of Sound 2007
Yeah, classic.
was maybe the best one they ever did.
Yeah.
And 2008 was good. And then it started to go a bit weird.
Yeah.
But that's where I started, and I actually learned to DJ. I had a bunch of different things. I had controllers, and then I had a turntable, and then I had these CDJs. But I would play with songs. I didn't know what the songs were, which helped me beat match better because you didn't know what the song was, and you sort of had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, the first time you're learning how to beat match, like, is it forward or backwards? It sounds terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
But then learning how to DJ with songs that I didn't know and not having like perfect intros and stuff made it really much better when you had songs that you did know and you could like get the
Intro
files with
edits
the
and
16
stuff.
bar
Yeah,
intro
yeah,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's
And
a tip for anyone wanting to do like commercial and like the hip hop sort of
Get
like,
intros,
more ones.
make it laugh
You gotta
easier.
get intros, yeah. Because I had a friend who was like, he's never done like commercial, does like house stuff, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna try play some commercial, and he like grabbed someone's USB that had like commercial songs on it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any intro edits or anything like that.
Oh,
It's
if you
just
can mix
tunes.
songs without an intro, it's tough, but that'll when you
But
get
he's having
intros,
a go, and he's like, I can't do this. This is so hard. Like, how do you guys like do this? And I was like, I do like like. Are they just original like ones? And he's like, yeah, there's tracks. I was like, oh, well, most people get edits. Like, you know, there's actually a bit more, there's more research and work in some of the commercial stuff sometimes than doing it with, you know, like a tech house set. Like, you don't have to find those intro edits or anything.
You know
like
what's
that.
funny
just
about
find
those house tracks is
Yeah.
like how fucking long they are. It's like 8 minutes, and either side it's like a 3-minute intro and a 3-minute. Why do house DJs do that? It's like 3 minutes of just a beat.
Oh man, I just listened to because I just said I was on a podcast. I went on the Flawless podcast, and it's you choose an album, and then we all discuss it,
Right.
and then choose if it's flawless or whatever. So everyone has to listen to it.
Logic's new album is a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I chose for one of them Dead Mouse's random album title,
Right.
which is like because all the people on that show were actually just like more into sort of, I suppose, live music and bands and stuff. So for them that was so weird because there's like 9-minute tracks and it's the same exactly what you said. It's like 2 minutes of drums either side of the actual track, and it's so progressive and slow building. So that was interesting to take them into a different world. They're like, oh man, if they got rid of the drums, I could listen to this album like start to finish. But
What's like your favorite genre, as in not stuff that you play, like stuff that you listen to by yourself?
That's interesting. I try not to listen to too much. This is a weird thing to say, but I try not to listen to too much music
Right.
lately to try and not be influenced for when I'm writing.
Right.
So like because I don't play gigs all the time, I don't have to, you know, like listen and find all the new tracks and everything. So when I get booked for a gig, that's when I'll just do like a deep dive. Like I'll know some new tracks and stuff that come out, but I really try not to be too heavily influenced by other music. But in here, because we're in here recording artists and doing work for other people all the time. So like I've been listening to like, I don't even know what to call some of it, like bass music that's like a bit indie pop. And then like sometimes we get rappers in and we listen, you know, do hip hop stuff. And Johnny sort of makes a bit more sort of progressive-y.
So you don't have a favorite?
Not really, man. I've always loved all music. I mean, I love like dance music, like house, tech house sort of stuff. That's my like vibe these days. I like that weird sort of Dirty Bird shit, which I suppose is something that you can't really play at a lot of places here anyway. So that's something that I love. Like I like weird, different music. Yeah. Stuff that's not your top 40 and that. And even like house stuff that's like a bit different and weird. Yeah. But I'm really loving like sort of more disco-y stuff lately.
Disco's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't listen to the radio. Most of my time now is actually spent when I'm like at work with earpods in, is listening to.
Yeah, the radio these days is either mumble rap or like really depressing love songs. Like kind of like that Angus and Julia Stone vibe, but like not as good as they are.
yeah.
Just
but
really
yeah, so
sad
I don't listen to heaps of music because I tend to have, listen to stuff people send me, and I'll listen to promo stuff I get sent every now and again. But until I'm actually like booked for a gig, I don't do huge deep dives into finding music and stuff like that. Which is, most people are like, really? Like, And to be honest, I just don't really have a lot of time.
It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
And then you got to find the intros, and then it's funny.
Yeah.
You search a song, and it's like, here's 16 remixes. I'm like, where's the original with an intro?
Yeah, and which one's the best? If any of them are good, like,
Yeah.
are any of them good? And you got to go listen to them all. Like,
Yeah.
I think probably when I am looking for music, I rely pretty heavily on Spotify and my discovery list.
Yeah, Spotify's great because it can
Just because it knows what I like and stuff. Like when I listen to my discovery list, I'll probably have, I think you get 20 songs in a playlist or something.
Oh, the Discover Weekly thing.
Yeah. I think I probably would save about 15.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty.
There's always great stuff in there.
But that's what I do mainly. Like I'll probably listen to that every week, and I'll put those songs into some folders. You know, like playlists or whatever on Spotify. And then after a few weeks, I'll have like all these playlists of different ones that I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then when I have a gig, I just go through, check out my new discovery and release radar, check out all those playlists for the songs I've, liked in there. And then go looking for different weird stuff.
Yeah, cool.
But like I'm not like actively searching out music every week. Like I will listen to my discovery list every week and then just choose what I like. And then it's sort of like I've got like this bank of music that I really enjoy. Yeah. And sometimes you can go into those playlists if they're big enough and find, how it recommends stuff then. And then just go like, looking recommendations and stuff like that. And you just end up with a heap of tunes there. And it's like, man, that's a set. Like that's easy when you're only playing once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or something like that. Yeah. Which is good. It means that I stay interested because I don't have to play the same stuff every week, and I'm not constantly like, oh, that tune worked really well last time, I'm going to play that.
Oh, dude, when I play a song that like I like in a club, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
Because you get to hear a song on a big sound system, and then they're like, it's funny when the general manager will come up and he doesn't want to say play cheese, but he'll say it in the way like, hey, so we've got a group like we're thinking about. It's like, just say it. Do you want me to sell out?
Just say it.
Say it. I'll play fucking Taylor Swift.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And I used to do like a lot of those like kind of probably more commercial, like small bars and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I used to do little cocktail bars and places that do dinner and stuff as well. And I even was doing like the races for a while and some of the tents and stuff like that. And man, just, I don't know, I just get over it. Playing that same stuff. Actually, one really cool one I did though was I played, that it's not the Milk Shed or whatever. Over where near the showgrounds where they have all those food trucks come now. There's like the Belgian beer
on
cafe
King
there.
Street.
I think so. Yeah, and there's that big massive
Mexican place on that strip.
Could be. There's they have like all food trucks come every now and again. Right. I can't remember what it's called now. And there's a place down the back called like the Milk Shed or something, and it used to be the old shearing shed. Or no, used to be old milk sheds for like the cows, like milking cows and stuff in that area. And it's like a gin bar, but they were like, oh yeah, we're doing like Saturdays when there's stuff on, but just come in and like sort of play commercial or whatever, and just we don't really know what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just keep the vibe going.
It's a gin bar. And so it ends up coming in, all these people coming in, and I'm like, looking around, and I'm like, man, like, looks like this crowd with like 90s kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, sweet. Play a few like 90s tunes, and it's like starting to go around. I'm like, oh, sweet. I'm like, I might just play 90s hip hop for the rest. Like 80s, 90s sort of like hip hop. And so just like old 90s hip hop, and like, went off, man, just because it was, like the right crowd and stuff, like, and they were sort of, the manager was like, oh man, no one's ever played anything like that in here. It's like, I don't know what the owners will think. He's like, but like, you killed it. Like,
yeah, that's what I recommend.
Everyone was into it. Like, everyone was drinking and loving it because it was that old hip hop vibe. Everyone knew all the tunes.
Yeah.
But like, I think they usually have like, because it's like a gin bar, they usually have more like piano jazz and like, like real smooth, classy sort of stuff. And I'm just up there like, dropping like old 90s stuff.
Yeah, if you're a venue owner, I recommend getting a DJ who's not what you're used to, because you never know. Because I've had
at least to try it, yeah.
Yeah, I've had the same thing because I'm predominantly a hip hop DJ, well, almost entirely.
Yeah.
And but you can still play hip hop and still have that fun. It doesn't have to be, you're not playing NWA every track. You can still have fun, upbeat stuff. And I've had a lot of good feedback playing hip hop. They're like, man, no one plays like that
Yeah.
here. That was really
Yeah.
good. Can you do that again? I was like, yeah, man, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I really enjoy if there's a place where I can go and play like old hip hop.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in playing, new stuff.
yeah.
I mean, I don't really know any of it, but
It's fun sometimes
The
when
old
the club
stuff's
is
cool.
cranking, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite genre is boom bap, which is like that 90s East Coast kind of vibe, like Nas, KRS-One, Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
That kind of like real,
Yeah.
just head bopping, easy listening kind of sound.
yeah, for sure.
And all people like People Under the Stairs and Jay-Z's old stuff and all that. Just Grand Poobah, like all that. I've got a playlist that I made. I should send you
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Do it.
But just all that, just kind of Tribe Called Quest, that kind of stuff. Q-Tip,
Fucking
all
awesome.
that.
Did you see them when they?
No, I wish.
Yeah, at Family, I think it was. Yeah.
No, and apparently also at Ohio they had DJ Craze and DJ Premier at the same time, which I missed.
Like sometimes I don't understand, like even being part of the industry, how I miss some of these things. Like,
I know, right?
It's like how, like, where was that? Like,
Yeah, I think I was talking to Cutloose, and I was playing DJ Premier, and he's like, "Hey, did you see him when he went to Ohio?" I was like, "What?
what? Yeah, yeah,
How did I not see that?"
yeah. It's so random. Like,
Yeah, or then,
I
like-
suppose sometimes they get like, like with bookings and stuff, like doing tours and stuff. Sometimes people tack on like a Sunday or or
Yeah.
like some random event, because it's cheap or whatever, and they'll just the artist will do it. So like I've had times where like Stamp Warriors were like, man, we'd love a midweek gig, and it's like, we guys want to fly up here and just come and like drink and play at this club, and we'll just get free piss.
Yeah,
And they were like, yeah, all right. And so they just flew up here, and so I think it was a random like Wednesday night on like in December sometime, and we just literally went to I think Press Club with them and like a few like people, and they just came, got a bottle, played a few shit, like they played for like half an hour or some shit, but like, and they just got on the piss with everyone, like.
yeah.
was
I remember. Yeah, I remember Jaron Benton. I don't even know who that is. He's like this real dark rapper who's rapped to like Hops and stuff. He was randomly. I just saw a thing. Oh, Jaron Benton at Woolly Mammoth. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How did I was already booked. I was like, how did I miss that? Like
Yeah.
stuff like that's so cool. Some of the coolest people that I've met. B.O.B. was really cool.
Yep.
He was a hot gossip. Jessica Malboy is so much fun. I know that's random,
Yeah.
but she was awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then other people like, what's her name? Tanashi. She was a brat. Some people are like, it's kind of disappointing when you meet someone,
Yeah.
but some people are sick. Like some people you wouldn't expect.
I know, and that's always the best, hey.
Yeah.
When you meet people like that, and you're like, oh man, that person's actually really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I love talking to, like, hanging out with them.
And
yeah.
back when Justice Crew were big, they were awesome. They'd
Yeah.
come in, they'd have so much fun, and they were sick. And then, I remember, even though it was awesome to play with B.O.B., so Lupe Fiasco is one of my like favorite rappers of all time. And he was the first album I ever bought.
Yeah.
First rap album I ever bought was Lupe Fiasco's The Cool. And he was playing, it was Lupe Fiasco, Nelly, and B.O.B. at the River Stage. And Lupe was meant to come to Hot Gossip, and I was DJing. I was like, oh my God.
It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna fanboy
I
so
shotgun the
hard.
set. Like, I love Lupe. I got like 20 Lupe songs ready to roll out, and then last minute, it's like, Lupe's not coming. I was like, fuck. And then like, B.O.B.'s coming, now I'm like, it's still cool, but
That's still cool, yeah.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I really wanted to meet Lupe. I love Lupe Fiasco.
That'd be sick.
And then there was there was rumors what was it, Laneway last year? And was JID at Laneway? I can't remember, but they were like, oh, he might come to Famous. I was like, oh my God, how do I love him. JID or Jid, everyone says it differently, but I love him. He's part of Dreamville. And then J. Cole's concert was one of the best days of my life. I was stone cold sober, but I wanted to be because I love J. Cole. He's my favorite artist of all time ever.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, if he comes
I
to
want to
Famous.
remember every moment of this.
Yeah. Oh man, that was the best concert ever. Some of the best. J. Cole's concert was sick. I saw Snoop Dogg in Bali. That was amazing at Potato Head. And it was my first
that'd
time.
be sick at Potato Head.
Dude,
yeah,
it was amazing. It was my
Potato
first time
Head,
overseas
where was
ever.
he performing at? Like there.
Like where the pool is.
Yeah.
So like this beach is
they've
behind
got
him.
yeah, beach behind the
Yeah,
pool,
so
and
the
then there's all
crowd was like-
all the little
Yeah, that was
Whatever,
sick. And that was my
cabanas or
first
whatever
time
it
overseas. And I got off the plane and went to the concert. So I was like, this is the sickest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I'm first time experiencing like a different country and Snoop Dogg and
That would've
a
been
cool
sick.
venue.
that would have been so sick.
And T-Pain was amazing. I saw that in Papua New Guinea. Super random. I was DJing over
Papua
there.
New Guinea.
Bro, that
That's
is
so
a hardcore place. I don't recommend going there.
Yeah, yeah.
At least Moresby. I think the rest of the country is beautiful. But actually, funny story about that. I went with Patrick from Famous because he was we do a lot of things, but I would DJ and he'd MC. because we both like to party and have a bit of fun. He's an amazing host. He's the best MC I've ever seen. You can just host, and he can speak different languages. He's amazing.
Yeah, that's sick.
And then we went to he goes, "Do you want to come to Moresby?" And I was like, I mean, not really. He goes, "What's your passport number?" I was like, "Fuck, okay, I guess we're going."
I guess we're going.
And then we were there for 2 nights. And on the first night, we had fun and then came back. And then he's texting the guy. He said, "Hey, we're playing again on set tonight. Do you want to come?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, but it'll just be the 3 of us instead of 4 because whatever his name got stabbed with a screwdriver last night. So he's not coming." And then we're like, wait.
Stabbed with a screwdriver.
Like, don't pretend like you didn't say what you just said. Back up a little bit.
Can you not tell us
Someone got stabbed. Like, we're there for 2 nights. And so there's a 50%, at this rate, there's a 50% chance that someone's going to get stabbed.
Yeah.
And it's hectic, man. I don't know if you've ever been to Moresby. Like, the hotel you're staying at, there's barbed wire, there's people with AK-47s at the front letting you in. The driver's got a pistol under the seat. There's no stoplights. There's no traffic lights because someone might carjack you. And I remember there was a billboard, like 3 times the size of this room, huge billboard with an 8-step process on how to wash your hands.
Jeez.
Like it was just like, man, what is happening? But the thing is, because there's lots of mining over there, the accommodation is like really expensive. So there's like homeless people, but then really expensive accommodation. It was an experience.
It's 2 opposites in the one spot. So
yeah, I'm glad I saw it.
2 extremes, yeah.
Damn. Oh, and it's a really funny story. Well, so when we were DJing the first night, the people there, they took us out to a Japanese restaurant, had a bunch of sake, so we were kind of we were faded,
getting pretty loose.
And then we were DJing and we were playing. I think Patrick took over DJing. He was playing All Night Long by Lionel Richie. That's by Lionel Richie, right? I can't remember one of them.
I know the one you mean though.
And they're singing like, man, but there's lights like this, so there's lights on us, and it's like, man, what's going on? And then we found out the club was closed, and there were cleaners in there, and we were just like, woo!
Can't even see. Yeah, I don't even know.
No one's even there. Like, man, where's everyone gone? And they'd all left. The club closed like 20 minutes ago.
That's hilarious. Just keep partying, start your own little party.
Fun story, but yeah, and then
he
said, "Hey, you want to come back?" I was like, "Bro, no,
not really."
Sorry, I'm glad I went, but damn, I'm not going there again.
Yeah, that's it. Some crazy stories, man. I remember when I asked you to come on this show, we were talking about that night at Stockies where some random dude came in with just like $100 bills, like throwing them everywhere and shit.
Yeah, he bought like the most expensive champagne from the bar, and he goes, "Oh." He puts his he's so sweaty and gross. He was like a villain out of a cartoon. Yeah. Puts his arm around him. He's like, "I'm so fucking rich."
Yeah, I remember that. I remember we were up in the booth. Because I think you played after me. I was playing first, and then you were playing after me. And so he came up, and like I remember at one stage he probably threw like $800 bills on the decks, like on the mixer, and was just like, "Take that, man," or something like that. And I was trying to be like all, like
he was so drunk that he'd forgotten that he'd just given us money.
Yeah,
so he'd come back and he wanted some song, and I hadn't played it, and then he'd give me money, and then I'd play it, and he'd give it to me again, and then when he left, there was 3 $100 bills on the ground.
I ended up taking $200 home off him because I ended up playing a song.
I had at least 300.
Yeah, because like at the start he put like $800 on there. He's like, "Here, have this, like play something." And I was like, "No, man, I didn't." I was trying to be like, like, "Oh man, I didn't need your money. Like, your money's no good here." Like, that kind of thing. And then because I was like, "Oh, maybe he's just had a win on the fucking pokies and he's smashed and he's just trying to play it." But I'm like, "Keep the money, man. Like, like you keep it." And then like later on, he's like, "Oh yeah, play a song." And like, "Get me 100." And I was like, "Oh, I'll take you 100 to play a song." And he didn't even give me a song to play. So play me a song, gave me $100. I'm like, "What you want? What do you want me to play?" He's like, "Play whatever."
All right, deal. I made more
I'm
money.
already doing that.
Yeah, I made more money from him than I did from the gig.
Yeah,
that was a good
same.
night. I think I made like $500 that night.
Yeah, I think I took about $200-300 home.
Yeah. And he bought like, he's at Stockies, like not at like a flashy venue. And
that's like, why it was weird too. Like he's at Stockies, like.
And he's like, "Hey, you buy a drink, I'll buy something. It costs this." I'm like, "Dude, I get it. You have money.
Yeah, you have money, man. Like
we understand.
We get it. It's all cheap." Yeah, that was so funny, man. That I remember messaging you the next day and like, "How much money did you end up with?" Like, because he was just throwing $100 bills around everywhere.
He was like requesting songs that like you were gonna play anyway. I'm like, "Yeah," and I just kept stroking his ego. I was like, "Dude, you are the man." Like, oh man,
I was doing the total opposite to him, mate. I was just like,
I was like, "You're sick, dude." Oh
man,
he goes, "I didn't even know if he did, but I can't imagine he will because he was so drunk. He was like, "Oh,
good cop, bad
Lamborghini parked outside," and I was like, I was like, "Dude, that's sick, man. You're the man."
We were playing good cop, bad cop. You were stroking his ego and I was just like giving him nothing.
I was doing it so much, I'm surprised. Like I was so obviously making fun of him, but Go for it. I'm so
Yeah,
fucking
when
rich.
everyone's so if you're really drunk, like you don't even know if people are making fun of you at that stage.
Yeah,
He
that
probably
guy was
doesn't
the
even
worst.
care. He's probably not that self-aware.
Yeah, I wonder what he's
But
doing
yeah,
now.
that was funny, man. Like I'll always remember that story of just $100 note. Like how often do you see
Yeah,
$100
100s.
note?
Yeah.
Like heaps of them.
Yeah, heaps of 'em.
Heaps of them. That was
Bless
crazy,
him.
man. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about like because like the app that you did back in the day and all that, and I'm sure you've talked about it on many business sort of podcasts or things like that. But tell us about that and sort of your entrepreneur sort of side, because it is an interesting story. A lot of people I feel in the DJ world aren't very business orientated.
Yeah, which is
terms
such
of
a
that.
waste because
Yeah,
you
it
have so
is.
much time available. Like
Yeah.
you can make a good solid income as a DJ working 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
And even those 3 nights, it's like maybe some of them you do long, but some of them it's like you can make a good income of like 10 to 15 hours a week. Like you have all week to do something else,
Yeah.
and they just spend it playing PlayStation. Or
Yeah.
and to all the glassies out there, because I respect how hard glassies work, and they get no credit. They're just cleaning up people's spit. They got the worst job.
Yeah.
But good on them for grinding it out. But then I see some of them like spend all their money on like drugs and alcohol. I'm like, dude, what's the point of working this hard if you're just gonna piss it away on
Yeah.
cocaine? So anyway, like you can't afford that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with not being able to afford that, but that's a waste of your money. Like
Yeah.
work this hard for something. But where I was going with that is the DJs, because I had so much time available. I love DJing, but I always loved the business side of it. And when I had my first business, I sort of learnt the basics and I saved up a bit of money.
Which one was this? Was this the entertainment?
This was the entertainment company.
Yeah, yeah. What was it?
It was called Pogo Entertainment.
Pogo, yeah, yeah.
Stands for Party or Get Out, I think. 17-year-old
Yeah.
ideas. But then I saved up a bunch of money because the good thing is that DJing's not, you're contracted, right? It's not like you're 18, so you earn less. Like a 17-year-old DJ can make the same hourly rate as a 35-year-old DJ. So I managed to save up $100,000 before I was 20.
All right, let's stop right there because
Right.
that's a big thing to do. And like, when this COVID thing hit, I reached out to a number of people I know in the industry who are friends who DJ full-time, like that's their full-time thing.
Yeah.
And was like, hey, like, are you going to be all good? Like, what's the, like, have you got
Yeah.
family support or anything? Like, have you got savings? And like a couple were like, yeah, no, like, sweet, got savings. Like I planned for, things like this. Like I've got savings that can last 6 months, a year without working. And some people were like, most people were like, nah, man, not really. Hey, no family here or anything, So I think it does really contrast. Some people do think about that, like save the money and that. And a lot of people, like you said, waste it doing things and all
Well,
that
it's
kind of
also
stuff.
because the people that you are surrounded by when
Yeah.
you're in the hospitality industry are party people.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get sucked. Like if your 5 best mates are all like party people, you'll end up partying a lot.
Yeah.
And because even though it takes ages to get good residencies, it's kind of easy money.
Yeah.
Like even though that it isn't, but you get paid $80 to $100 an hour for having fun and getting on the piss, and they're probably like, oh man, this is good. But that doesn't last forever. And the other thing is that, so I'm in two minds about this. You should learn about money from a young age. I think it's weird. People don't want to talk about money. It's weird. I'm like, I think more people should talk about it.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be.
Yeah, you got to learn about
more
taxes.
when
You got to
you're
learn about
younger.
savings. You got to learn about investing, that kind of stuff. And I've always been interested in that stuff. So that's why I was like, I wasn't just saving, but I was investing in shares and learning about how that stuff works. And because I also would see, because I'd be 18 and I'd see DJs in the club who were like 35, and I'm like, there comes a point where you got to do something. You know what I mean?
You can't just keep doing that.
Like nothing wrong with being a 35-year-old DJ, but you got to have some money saved up or something. You know what I mean?
Something else going on, yeah.
Because you get too caught up in the hype because there's bottle service and there's girls and there's all this elaborate
And how
lifestyle.
long can you DJ for, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, and be good and successful and make a good living kind of thing.
Yeah. And I also thought if I want to get rich, I need to either own like venues or become like a producer, which I didn't really want to do either of those things.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll start exploring other things. And then, where was I going with that? I was living at home, so that's a big help. Not everybody can do that, so I'm not going to pretend like I didn't have to pay rent. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But still, don't waste your money.
Yeah, but that means that money you weren't spending on rent, you would probably be saving. and
100%
doing stuff.
save all of it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the same. It's not just DJs. I really feel for DJs. This whole COVID thing. It's tough. And that's why like when gigs are coming back, I am normally like one of the main DJs at some places, but I'm like, you guys go for it because
I haven't hit anyone up for any gigs because of that reason.
I'm like, you guys do it. You
like, there's people out there like I've got a full-time job still. Like I've got other stuff going on, so I'm like I'm not hitting anyone up for gigs at all because I'm like, no, you guys have it. Like,
plus I DJ for fun. Like it's not. I don't really need that.
I think DJing is like for fun too. For me, like I said, I only do it once every 2 weeks to a month. So of course it's got to be for fun. Obviously exactly. It's not for the money because if it was for the money, I'd be doing it way more often.
But I think like a lot of the people, this is a slight tangent, but a lot of the people that are complaining at the very like 1 week into venues being shut, they're like, oh man, what the hell? How am I going to do this? It's like I've seen you flex on social media. You'll be at Bar 11 drinking $20 espresso martinis. You'll be out at brunch. You'll be buying nice clothes. You'll be like the same people that are complaining about not having any money are the same people who are like flexing real hard on social media, and that drives me up the wall. Money, And what's annoying is that instead of using this downtime to build your future and reevaluate your career and plan things out, they just spend it like getting drunk.
Yeah.
And I've seen promoters, I've seen these people like, they're like, oh, it's, beer o'clock. It's like 10 a.m. I'm like, do something with your life.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Start a podcast where you drink beers. Like, I was drinking beers at I think 9:30 the other Saturday with Badger because I had it was when we had to organize it. So we started 9:30. It's like,
but it's part of a process.
It's productive. So
you can afford to have that beer.
Yeah.
Some people can't.
So start something that incorporates drinking into it. That's what you got to do.
If you want to drink, at least do something productive with it.
But yeah, I agree with you. Like there's so many people who were in that headspace of, like down and exactly what you said. Like you described that so perfectly. And I was just like no, like it's now everyone's on a level playing field.
And it's week 1. Are you saying you don't have enough savings to survive a fucking week?
Yeah.
You need enough savings for at the least 3 months of savings. Before you learn about investing and all that kind of stuff, have at least 3 months of savings so that if you lose your job or something like COVID happens, you can survive for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
It's going to be, stressful, but like you can do it.
Yeah.
And the amount of people, I'm like 1 week.
Yeah.
And you're fucked. Like, man, you are flying too close to the sun. Because I have seen you buying bottles. I know who you are.
Yeah.
I've seen you buying bottle service and buying drugs and like doing all this stupid stuff and going out to nice dinners. And I think people just need, they spend everything there.
Means,
Well, either that or they spend everything there and they're just flying.
Yeah.
And I think that's really like irresponsible. So learn about money.
Yeah.
Some
I
people don't
think
even
you
know
got
about
to find
taxes.
something you want to invest in that you're actually like interested in that you think you can make work as well.
Well, at least start by going, where do I want to go? Like, how much money do I need to not worry?
Yeah.
Work towards that.
Yeah.
Don't be so caught up in like. This is another thing that I kind of is a bit controversial. A lot of people like live in the moment because it's the only thing that's definite.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the future and don't worry about the past. Just live it today because it could be your last day. Sure. But it's likely that it's not your last day, and it's good to plan for the future. It doesn't mean sacrifice having fun now so that when you're 70, you can buy a Maserati.
It's the balance. You got to find that balance.
Yeah, and I think it just makes you less stressed, and it also makes you helps you make better decisions because when you're not forced to make a decision based on money, you can build a life that you can be happier about. Anyway, slight tangent.
No, it's good. This is the whole world I'm in at the moment.
Right,
because with everything I'm doing with the podcast and the other events and other things I'm moving into, I'm so much in that world now. And it's like I was saying about something you enjoy that you should, like if you're into shares, invest in shares. If you're into like property, get into property, whatever. You've got to find something you're into. This is like something that's a bit of a novelty really.
Or even if you're not into it, learn about what you might need to do. So you don't have to like shares to buy shares. Just learn about index funds. But you don't have to do anything. You just buy a little bit and then it compounds or at least at the very least learn how to save. Learn how to track your spending or just little bits like that because it was shocking how many people were screwed so quickly.
Yeah.
That are my age because they don't teach you this stuff in school.
Yeah.
And we live in a world of social media where you have to be living a really cool life.
Yeah.
So you got to buy a Gucci shirt and you got to go to cocktail bars where they charge $21 for a fucking Mai Tai. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like-
But like, yeah, I just got like I've literally just in the last 2 months gotten into like investing in Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Like fully just bulk old school Pokemon
Yeah,
cards.
cards,
like
and same as
rated
sports
ones.
cards, they seem to be really flying.
Yeah, man, they're going mental. Like, but it's easy. Like, you've got to enjoy it. Like there's
Yeah.
no point getting because you got to learn about it.
Yeah.
You got to learn about what sets are like valuable and what's gonna how
That's
many
more
there
like
are
a
out
cash
there.
flow, like flipping cards, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm doing sort of both. I'm doing ones where I'm flipping newer cards. So the newer ones, I'll like buy a set of people who have selling a heap and
Right.
get them cheaper, and then I'll sell them to people who are looking for individual cards for more. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you think this is a trend, or it's like a for
Well-
example, do you want to sell your cards in the next sort of 12 months because in 3 years they might not actually be working?
Well, so my plan at the moment is to do like the newer cards. They're the ones that I flip. So I'll just, I'll buy maybe 10 full art cards for $50, $60, and I'll sell each one for maybe $15, $20, $30 each. If I can find someone who needs it, So it's just about finding people who have the right cards to buy. And so that's like the short term one. But then like the long term one is investing in like old cards from 99.
And for anyone watching who's like, what the hell, cards? It's a thing.
Yeah. Well, like for example, I bought a Bulbasaur from 1999 PSA 10, so it's the top rated card, like perfect card. And it's a shadowless, so it's even more rare. I bought it for $450, which is probably more than I should have paid for it. Like I probably should have tried to find it for $350, but like I've only had it for 2 weeks, and someone's just offered me $550 for it.
Right.
So it's like the older cards are gonna increase in value far quicker, but they're more expensive.
Yeah.
So it's like my plan is to like flip the newer cards to have cash, to invest in the older cards, to hold. So I would actually like to hold that Bulbasaur longer, but
It's crazy, man.
yeah.
Buying
exactly,
a Bulbasaur as an
yeah.
investment. But hey, it's a thing. It's not, I don't get it, but it's a thing. I don't
But that's
know how
the
to do
whole.
it.
That's the whole thing is that
Probably
finding
right.
something you're interested in that you can invest in.
Dude, like if you're into music and you can find vinyls of like Rolling Stones or something, and that's really valuable, like go for it. Or maybe your thing is, model cars, or it could be anything.
That's what I mean. That's why I said find something you're
Yeah.
interested in that you can invest in. That you've got to do your research though, but that's why you have to be interested, because then the research is fun. You do the research, and then it's like, well, can I actually make money from this? So like I said, I bought that Bulbasaur and thought this is pretty rare and it's pretty old. I think with that grading, there's only about 200 in the world.
Right.
So it's like, and next year's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. So like I'm sort of banking that next year things will go up as well. So it's like I'm sort of in the mindset of like, do I sell it for $550, make $100, and reinvest in some maybe smarter picks that I think will be worth more, or do I hold it and it's probably be worth $1,000 by next year, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you've got to sort of figure out what you want to do. But
That's fascinating.
I think I can make some better purchases, and sort of make more money from selling it and then getting. So I'm leaning towards selling at the moment. Yeah.
If you're watching this and going, I don't know what I'm interested in, you don't like at least learn about the basics.
Yeah.
Learn about tracking your spending, saving, taxes.
Any resources you'd recommend? Like I listen to the audiobook and have the book of the Barefoot Investor.
Yeah, that's a good starting point.
I think that's a good starting point for some stuff.
It doesn't give you the specifics on like how to buy shares and stuff, but it'll give you like the basics.
It gives you a good sort of overview of even like tracking spending and like how to break things down for like, the ING accounts and stuff
and
like
read
that. Like,
Rich Dad Poor Dad's a really good one. That's like a good introduction into finances. The Barefoot Investor. The Barefoot Investor is a little basic for me, but that's fine. That's all that.
But it's probably a basic for
your
general public. If you don't want to heavily get in investing and business and finance and stuff, that's probably a good one just for your average person to.
There's a funny guy on YouTube who's actually fun to listen to. His name's Fun. The channel's called Financial Education. Yeah, it's about shares. But he's like a millennial, so it's like not some old boring dude.
Yeah, he makes it fun.
A PE ratio is blah blah. It's not like that. It'll be interesting. And just look at index funds. Look up index funds or ETFs. You don't have to do anything.
They perform better than almost everything over time.
Yeah, it's slow and it's boring, but if you just put a bit in, you'll over time compound interest. Look that up.
Compound interest.
Look up compound interest calculator and put some numbers in, and you'll be like, wow.
I remember, I think compound interest we learnt in Maths C, but not in Maths B. And most people do Maths B in high school, right?
Funnily enough, Maths A is the dumb one, but that's the most practical one. That's what I did.
Yeah, it's totally
I don't
more
need
practical.
to know what fucking quadratics is. I'm not going to be an engineer. I need to learn about basic stuff.
Well, I did Maths B and C just because I was really good at, like, Maths was kind of my thing, you know, like, but yeah, we did, like, compound interest and stuff is something that you do in, like, Maths C.
Yeah, maths was not my thing.
Yeah.
I'm bad at math.
Yeah.
7 times 8.
And it's so funny. Everyone used to be like, you've got to know your maths timetables. You won't have a calculator in your pocket your whole life.
Yeah.
And it's like now we literally do have a calculator in our pocket. It's,
Yeah, I think this is a tangent, but I think the most important skills, well, there's a couple of important skills these days. People skills is really important because everybody's becoming so disconnected and nervous and shy.
Communication,
Yeah, communication, learning how to talk to people and work with people and lead a group of people is really important. If I was young, if you're going to uni or you're in school, just do something in like data science, artificial intelligence, software development. Like,
do not do a Bachelor of Arts. Please.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough... you can if you want, but don't expect to be rich.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's... Yeah, don't do a Bachelor of Arts. Don't do a Bachelor of Arts.
I did 1 term of business, not even a semester.
Yeah.
1 term. And then I had a 1,000-word assignment on how I liked working in a group, and I was like, fuck that, I'm not paying for this, because I had to pay for it because I had the money. So I actually had to pay for it up front. It was like $2,500. I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm out. I was just trying to make my grandma happy.
Let's talk about how you saved that money then. Like it was like you said, you were living at home, so you weren't paying rent.
Yeah.
You obviously like you didn't go out for fancy dinners. You didn't spend money on
Track your spending.
Yeah.
Really important. Because if you're not tracking it, you're probably spending more than you think. Same if you track your diet, you realize how much shit you're eating.
Yeah.
If you track your spending, you realize how much you're spending. So there's a free app called Pocketbook. It links to your bank accounts and it'll just show you where you're spending money.
Yeah.
Each month.
Categorizes them sort of into...
Yeah, you can be like, oh damn, I spent $750 on Uber Eats last month.
Yeah.
Track your spending. Don't buy things you don't need. Like if you're like, do I want this fucking Louis Vuitton? Not even really expensive stuff. Like a bottle in a nightclub. You don't really need that.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost you $350.
Yeah.
Plus all the other stuff you got to get. You can easily spend $500 in a night.
Yeah.
So don't buy stuff you don't need. Don't worry about what other people think. Like I think a lot of the people in Fight Club he says we work at jobs we hate to buy shit we don't need to impress people we don't like.
Yeah.
It's like don't worry about what your friends and stuff are doing on social media. If they want to spend all their money at brunch and pay $50 for avocado on toast, like go for it. I'm not saying never go out and have fun, but don't do it because someone else will think it's cool. And I know that sounds obvious and no one would ever admit that they do that, but I think a lot of people do that.
Oh, a lot.
Majority.
If you get a pay rise, of people.
Yeah, exactly. If you get a pay rise, if you get an extra gig, you don't have to then go and spend more money. Like if you're making $50,000 a year and then you make $70,000 a year, most people will move into a new place, buy a new phone, buy all this, that. So even though they're making more money, they're spending more, and financially they're not any better off. You can make $1 million a year and still be broke. You know what I mean? It's not about how much you earn; it's about how much you keep.
Yeah.
So, and learn a bit about investing. But for most people, if they don't have money yet, that's too big of a jump.
Yeah,
just
you
learn,
just gotta save first.
track your spending, know what you're spending money on.
Or buy some Pokemon cards from me.
Yeah, buy some Pokemon cards.
I'll give you a good price.
Yeah. And also, if you want to make money, you need to learn how to increase your income because, you can do all the saving tricks in the world, but if you're only making $40,000 a year, it's kind of hard to save a lot of money. So you need to learn how can I increase my income, like things like Pokemon cards, like side hustles, like getting a different career. I haven't had a boss. I've been self-employed since I was 17. So I'm 25 now. So I haven't had, I don't have a ceiling. And naturally, sometimes you end up working more and making less because it's just how it is.
Yeah.
But like if you work on a job that's $60,000 a year and that's it, as far as you go, and maybe after 3 years you go to 75, like that's tough. You can't. You got to learn how to make more money. Maybe it's a side gig. Maybe it's investing. Maybe
that's like for me. Like I work out of school and I've got a government job, which has been great for this period because it's so secure. But like I'm on my max wage for that.
Yeah.
And so that's why now it's about, all right, what else do I do?
Yeah.
What are all these side things that I can do? Like that's steady. It's just, easy full-time sort of, Monday to Friday thing.
Yeah.
I get school holidays off and stuff like that. So I've got time for music and other things and that. And so,
Yeah, use your time wisely.
Yeah.
Like, think about when I say, all the time you spent not working, what you could have done in that time. But people are like, oh, well, I still want to have a life. Fair enough. Think about all the time you spent doing shit that you didn't even like doing that you could have spent on something else. So, for example, you're bored and you watch Netflix and you didn't even like what you're watching. Or you're scrolling social media. You don't even like what you're looking at.
yeah.
Use that time for something productive because
Yeah.
it's not even
That
really
you like.
It's not even sacrificing your fun. It's like you don't even like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, and don't be so caught up in what other people think or what other people are doing. Like, you don't need to scroll so much. Like, you don't
Yeah.
even like these people.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, oh, that bitch, she doesn't even. It's like,
I've
well,
totally reframed social media for me. Like, for me now, I'm not a user of social media.
yeah, I rarely look at it.
I'm like, now I think of myself as like a creator instead. Like, so I'm not, like I'm putting content out. I'm not actually
Yeah.
a user of it. And if I am going there to use, I'm going there to get ideas and to find things,
Yeah.
actually look at what's working for other people and stuff. Like, not going to see just to scroll and
Yeah.
mindlessly. I'm actually going for a reason to see what people are doing and what's working
Yeah.
and get ideas.
I think if you want to have, what's that quote? If you want to do things like, if you don't want to be like everyone else, you got to do things that not everyone else does.
Yeah.
So if you want to stand out, you want to make more money, and you want to be happier, and you're gonna have to do things that are different to what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
What everyone else is doing is binge watching Netflix, going out every weekend, scrolling social media, not reading books, not learning, not talking to people, not.
Yeah.
You got to surround yourself with better people, and your friends will make fun of you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're old and boring, or oh, you don't come out on the piss anymore. It's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong. Like, if you surround yourself with 5 alcoholics, eventually you'll become an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So who you surround yourself with, and not just who you surround yourself with, what you watch and consume.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the universe is like an algorithm. So on YouTube, the more stuff you watch, the more things YouTube will recommend about that.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're watching trash, it will recommend more trash.
Yeah.
And now your world is full of trash.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start doing other things, you will invite more of that stuff into your
Yeah.
life. Like, if you go to the gym and everybody else is working out, you'll start working out.
Yeah.
And you might make some friends who work out.
Workout. Yeah.
So I think one of the things as well for me was the reason that I was, relatively had some good momentum early was that I surrounded myself with older people.
Yeah.
Like, from 19, I was around Patrick, became one of my closest friends. And he's like 25 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Owns venues, is much more mature.
Yeah,
Whereas if I hang out with young DJs who that's all they do, I might feel successful. But if I hang around with people who are way more successful than me, you go, I want to get on their
Yeah.
level. There's like
Yeah.
a quote that's like, if you run a 100-meter sprint against 16-year-olds or younger, you'll win, but your time's not going to get
Yeah.
better. Whereas if you keep losing, or you're the this is weird, like the weakest link, if you're the least successful person in your friend group, you will become more successful.
Yeah.
So who you surround yourself with and what you consume on a daily basis is so important. And in hospitality, unfortunately, probably more than half of them don't take life very seriously, and that's fine. And I love my friends that do that.
Yeah.
But if you're surrounded by people who don't have ambition and
Yeah.
just want to drink every day and
Yeah.
don't do things, then you will eventually become that.
Yeah.
And if you're happy with being that, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
go for it. But if you want more from life, you're gonna have to do shit that other people aren't doing, and you will probably get ridiculed for it.
Yeah. I always love the thing. It's like we take advice from people that we don't actually want to be like. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, if you want to do something, you should take advice from people who are doing that thing or have
Yeah.
got that, But people take advice from, like, people who aren't doing anything.
Like, imagine you got a drinking
Close.
problem, right?
Yeah.
And you go to your friend who's an alcoholic. They go, "Oh man, fuck it, don't worry about it."
Yeah.
But if you talk to someone who's like, "Yeah, man, you got to fix. Here's how we can get over that. Let's make a plan."
Yeah.
You'll have a much different outcome.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's subconscious. Like, you adapt to the environment that you are in. So if you want to change your life, you need to change your environment.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll just fall into whatever.
Yeah.
The reasons, this is another tangent, the reasons that humans have survived so well is because we adapt to
Yeah.
what's around us.
Yeah.
So you will start adapting to bad shit if you're around bad shit.
Yeah.
Imagine this is an exaggeration, but imagine 5 of your friends are drug dealers.
Yeah.
You're probably going to deal drugs at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, it's obviously not that serious, but you are the sum of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, honestly, that's why I love doing this podcast and getting people on like yourself and you know, other people in the industry who are like motivated and, you know, because I get to talk to people every week.
Yeah.
Who have that mindset.
And I feel bad. I don't mean to bash people. Like, I there's no judgment whatsoever. The only thing that I lack sympathy for or empathy for is people who...
If they complain, then.
Complain, but don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
If you're fat, but you want to get fit and you're putting in the work, like... I like when I see overweight people in the gym, I have so much respect. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like this is embarrassing and hard for you to do. Yeah. And you had to make a choice. But I will back you 100%.
And it's way harder, like, you know, when you're unfit, it's way harder to do anything at the gym.
It's way harder. But like, good on you, man. Like, but if you're like, man, I'm fat, but I'm not going to do anything about it. It's like,
but then you see him, then you see him, like, if you see, like, someone who's like that same weight, like at Macca's getting like a big meal or something. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, oh man, really? Like,
go for it, but don't complain.
Yeah.
You have not earned the right to complain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can totally do it, but I'm just like, oh man, like,
yeah. Well, people are like, I have no money, but I want to learn how to do this. I'm like, dude, and I love not only seeing someone who wants it, but I love to help people who want to help themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
What I fucking hate is people who just don't either complain and don't do anything about it, or like, oh, they're motivated for a bit. Hey, help me how to do this, and they want a shortcut.
They just want to take and they want the shortcut, the hack.
They want to catch up. Hey, I want to pick your brain for 30 minutes, and it's like, what? They want to answer. It's like, what can I do in 30 minutes that's going to change your life?
Yeah.
I can't. So you need to want it. Like, this is random, but Darren Matilla, I don't know if you remember him. He was Matilla. He was a DJ.
Yeah.
He always had this great curiosity, and he was like, how do I do this? And I'd come back, I'd say, I'd recommend a book, and he'd come back the next week, hey, I read it. I'm like, sick. Like, good on you, man. And I want to help that person.
Yeah, people who want to put the effort in, like, I've got so much time for them.
100%. But then people who are just like, oh, man, I've got no money. It's like, what are you doing about it? Oh, fucking job keeper.
Nothing. It's like,
hey, beers. I'm like, oh, man.
There was a point in time where, like, I was just doing Airtasker on the side while having my full-time job and DJing.
I love that.
Doing music. I made 2-3 grand in a month just after work going and doing shit.
And there's so many options. You can do Airtasker.
I was hustling hard though. Like, I was fucking like, you know, like,
but it's totally possible.
Going, mowing a lawn and then going to someone's house and like building an IKEA fucking set and then getting home at midnight, you know, after working all day from 7 a.m. Like, I was like hustling pretty hard. But I made an extra 3 grand that month.
Right?
You know, like,
people just want you to give it to them. And this is what's funny.
And that was on top of a full-time job. Like, that wasn't even like,
when you give it to them, they do fuck all.
Yeah.
So the government gave you, what was it, 3 grand a month? Something like that.
Whatever it is.
They gave you money. They gave you what you're looking for. They gave you the bailout. And instead of being grateful and going, okay, this has taken a bit of the stress off, now I can focus on what blah, 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 they just drink beers or they do nothing or they watch Netflix or they play PlayStation. I'm like, do you understand that this is why you were in this situation? Because you lack... And not everyone has to be super ambitious and want to be a millionaire. Like, you don't have to. I mean, if you don't have to. But if you're going to complain, but at the same time do things that don't help, I struggle to empathize.
And I really was waiting for that really, like, in terms of, like, the DJ scene, like, the streams and the cool online content and stuff like that. I was, like, a week in, I was like, I'm so excited. Like, this is that weekend whenever all those people were, like, complaining. I was like, I'm actually really excited to see what everyone's going to do with these live streams because it's going to get, you know, like, now everyone's going to live stream and everyone did live stream that first week. It was like, you know, 100 people I knew live streaming, like, DJ sets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can't watch all of you. So, like...
But good on that. You know,
good to get out there, but it's like... So now it's like, how are you going to set yourself apart? Like, how are you going to do a live stream that's cool and different? Like, you can't just have you on the decks playing. Like, that's boring as, like, you know, like, that ends up being boring because everyone's doing it. So it's like, I was like really excited because I was like, I could see that live streaming was going to be so big. It's like, well, where's the innovation and the cool ideas and the gimmicks and the fun stuff going to come from? I want to see that. And it was... I'm only just starting to see that now. Like,
Well, in a
you know,
business,
it
you've
took a
kind of
while
got,
ago.
and DJing is a business. You've got
Yeah.
getting the business and then doing the business. So you got getting the gigs and building your brand and then doing the actual gig itself. And it's sort of like 50-50, or maybe it's more like 70-30 because you got to do a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to do any gigs. So you can focus 100% of your attention on how do I build my brand,
Yeah.
build my business. What am I going to do? Because I don't have to worry about doing the gigs right now because there are no gigs.
Yeah.
But
And a lot of people
here we
didn't
are.
do that.
They'll do one live stream a week, if that. It's like, what are you gonna do? Make mashups, collect things, like build your brand, like talk to other people, like
Work on your production.
There's
Like
so
so
many
many
things, yeah.
like DJs who are like, and I even said this, like, because coming on the podcast, I get a lot of DJs who haven't started production yet. I'm
Right.
like, do you want to do production? And they're like, yeah, I just don't have time. I'm busy. And like, I'm always like, well, that's actually an excuse because you
Yeah,
do have
get
time.
fucked.
But then like, when COVID hit, I was sort of like, I put a little status out and I went, a lot of you guys say you want to be music producers. Well, and you always say you don't have time. Well,
Now you got
like
the time.
now you've got the time. And I even said like, I know who you are. I'm watching you.
Yeah.
And I know who's doing it and who isn't. So I will know who's full of shit and who isn't. Because if you've got the time, like get into it because that's what it is.
I just don't understand how you can. What are you doing for a week, every week,
Yeah.
like all day? What are you doing? How much fucking Game of Thrones do you need to watch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How
All
many
week?
games do you want? And to be honest, this is why like, I've talked about this a lot, but like I love RPG games, video games.
Right.
Like to the point where I think I got Fallout 2 I think it was Fallout 2. And for like a week I played 15, 16 hours a day
Jesus.
straight. You know what I mean? Like I get obsessed, like
Right.
RPG, like, upgrade your dude and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Do all the side quests so when you go to the main quests, it's like
Yeah.
fucking so easy because you're just a fucking boss legend
Yeah.
and fucking just destroy everyone. And that's why I like purposely do not play games anymore.
Right, yeah.
Because I know that for my personality that I'll just sit like it's like crack to me.
Yeah.
But I know that now.
I get it.
But I
been lost
know
in
that
games.
now, so I purposely I don't have any consoles, I don't have any games on there. Like I've got
The thing
no
with games,
or
one of
anything.
my favorite comedians, because he was right into it, and he said he wasted a lot of time with games. He said the thing with games is that after you're playing it, you don't have anything. You haven't built or created anything.
That's what I realized, and
Yeah.
that's why I was like, because it gives you the like
the dopamine.
the dopamine and the emotional response of achieving something, but you actually haven't achieved anything really.
Yeah, because now he does like woodwork, which sounds super random, but he's like, at least at the end I have a coffee table.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas gaming, like and
I can sell a coffee table.
because
know?
like I played 2K or whatever, and then you get super into it, but then you just like, and depending on the game,
And
sometimes
it
you
is
just-
fun. Like it
Yeah.
totally is fun.
but it's also really frustrating, and then
Yeah.
that frustration makes you want to keep going and get better at it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm playing against like sweaty kids who like have watched every YouTube tutorial on how to get the perfect release time on Kobe Bryant's jump shot,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, and then you get too caught into it. But then
That's why it's too hectic for me now too.
Yeah.
Like it's too like
do it in moderation.
that's like I used to play a little bit of League of Legends online, but like just too hard, man, because people are too good.
Or if you're gonna
You
do
know
it,
what I mean?
earn it. So like, be like, I am going to play this game because I've done this other work, and that
Yeah.
way you can get stuff done and use it
But
as a
give a
motivator.
time frame. Don't just like spend 16 hours a day for a
And you
week.
can have,
like
and
I
then you
did.
can have fun because it's like, oh, I've actually earned this game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but maybe find something productive that you enjoy more.
Yeah, and just plan your life. Like you don't have to be a financial advisor, but like, where do you want to live?
Yeah,
How much money do you want to have? What career do you want to do? Do you want kids? Like,
Yeah.
just plan that out. And no one does it because we're constantly distracted by Netflix and Facebook
Everything,
and Instagram
yeah.
and overstimulation. And the other thing is that a lot of people, so one of the things I'm most proud of is my self-awareness.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time looking inward and I
Yeah.
explore my emotions. And
so
if I'm,
important.
and if I'm sad, I'm like, why am I sad? What's making me sad?
That's
and how do I
my
fix it?
biggest question is always why.
Yeah, yeah,
For
exactly.
things like even if like I go to like a party and I have like an amazing time, I always the next day question,
why was it so fun?
Why was it so good? Was it because I drank the right amount of alcohol? Like
Right.
I started on beers and didn't start on spirit. Like even to that
Yeah.
degree, like did I start on spirits? Was it the people there? Was it the music? Was it the like? I go right into that, like, and see and sort of think about what it was and what I
My
enjoyed.
thing is conversation.
Yeah.
I love a good intellectual conversation. It doesn't have to be about something serious.
Yeah.
It can be about rappers or basketball teams or music. But if I'm talking to someone who like gets it,
Yeah.
this is a really funny story. I probably shouldn't even say this.
Yeah,
So
go
it was
for
our friend, my fiance. One of their her like main team members was it was his birthday, so we went to Ling Ling's, and
Yeah.
then next door there's a strip club, and he loves strip clubs. So like, we'll take you to the strip club, and then this girl was there, and she was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" She goes, "Did you just have dinner?" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "What'd you have?" And I was like, "Oh, I was like, it's fucking salt and pepper tofu or beans." She's like, "I love that."
Yeah.
So like, what's up? And I'm like, real surface level conversation. I
Yeah.
can't do. I don't like. I don't know.
You want to talk about real shit?
When I can talk to someone who really understands and like you can talk about
Yeah.
things, like I love that. Like some of the best nights I've ever had is been at a table drinking Negronis and just really getting into a good conversation with
Man,
someone.
I'm so into nutrition. Like, well, I have been. Like, it's not as huge anymore. But like,
Yeah.
because I did like, I was at uni.
While we drink beers.
Yeah, I was at uni doing like, like physio and sport and exercise science.
Sick.
So I had a little bit of like, nutrition knowledge. But one of my favorite house parties I've ever been to, I talked to a doctor who was just doing her like specialization in like microbiology about nutrition, which she kind of didn't know a lot about. Like she knew some about, but it's not really their field. So it was sort of like, it's cool to get like a doctor's perspective
Yeah.
and then what I knew and stuff. So like, that was one of my, like, I sat there and like, we talked for like 2 hours.
Dude, I've done
At a
that. I've
party
got lost, absolutely.
about nutrition, like just nerding and geeking out about like such like high level, like intricacies of like genetics and
love
stuff like that. And like that's one of my
and
favorite.
someone with emotional intelligence, like some of my I'm sort of realizing this now. All of my close friends have like really high emotional intelligence, so they're really good to talk to.
Yeah.
And when you someone who just gets it, you're like, and that's one of the things I love about Kaz, my fiance, is that like she can understand deep concepts even if it's not something that she understands.
I think that's, to me, like I've always said, someone who is intelligent is someone who can learn a new concept and understand it like straight away.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's what intelligence is. Like, to me, like, being able to learn something really quickly and pick it up and understand it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, if you have knowledge or experience in it, if you can do that, to me, that's someone who's intelligent.
Yeah.
Because if you can just, like, learn something, like, learn a textbook, that's different to learning something from just someone explaining it to you and then understanding
And
it.
emotional intelligence does translate into DJing, like when you're talking to a general manager or when like you're learning how to work people or even read a room.
Again, it's communication skills.
Yeah, and be nice to everybody. People are like,
it's free to be kind. It's free to be kind.
I'm the DJ. It's like the security guard. You're a guest DJ. Security guard's never met you. He doesn't know you. Don't get mad when he's asking for your ID. Like, how's he meant to know? Oh, I'm a DJ. It's like, no one cares.
I prefer it the opposite, where you show them your ID, like, and they're like, "Oh, dude, just go in."
Dude,
like,
I always line up unless it's a massive line.
Always line up, show them the ID, and they're like, "Dude, just go in," like, and it's like, "Oh man, like, thanks," and that's a big tip when you start playing places. Meet everyone, say hello, and be personable to everyone.
Yeah,
meet the security on the door. Meet the bartenders, meet the glassies, meet the general managers,
and it comes in handy.
Meet the DJs, the promoter, everyone. Yeah, like meet everyone.
Yeah, and be nice to everyone. Like that has got me. Sometimes in DJing, unfortunately, when you have someone that comes in who's got their own crew, or like a new entertainment manager, they just fire everyone.
Yeah,
and it's like you can ask any single person in this venue. Ask any glassy, any bartender, the general manager, the managers, the bar manager, any single fucking person in here, and they'll vouch for me.
Yeah.
And then like it gives you a bit of leeway when you're in this situation, because it happens. I've had general managers come in, fire absolutely everybody. They're like, "Oh, this venue is changing." It's like, "Oh, I'm just going to fire everyone." It's like that's not the solution. But whatever. I think I was fired from Stockies 4 times.
Yeah. And they get you back.
Yeah. But all of them was just I was just roped in with everyone. It was ridiculous. Other random story about Stockies. I've always remembered this. So one night. I think it was a Friday, and they had like 230 people leave within an hour or something. I was in Melbourne.
That's right.
I wasn't even in the fucking state. And they had a DJ meeting, compulsory meeting. Everyone has to be here. I'm like, I don't know why. I wasn't even there. Anyway, come in, and then I'm parking on not one of the streets, and then the general manager was late, and then everyone's chit chatting because it's like just get to the point, and then I was 2 minutes late to get my car because it's a clearway at 4, and I got a $230 ticket. I was 2 minutes late, and I'm like, wrap up this meeting, and I got to go. I remember saying to the ticket person, I'll give you $100 cash now if you don't write that. They're like, mate, you shouldn't have parked here. I'm like, if it wasn't for the fucking general manager, I wouldn't have. I wasn't even here. I was in Melbourne. I don't want your fucking spring rolls, all right? Let me get out.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah, that's hectic.
I have
yeah,
so many stories about DJing, man. It's like, it's such a...
But it is so much like people who are new to it, like you've got to understand that it really is a team. All the DJs on the roster and that, it has to be a team. And that's what people want. If you've got a good team, like you said, you can just have the residents play and kill it every week.
Don't give the general managers a reason to complain.
Yeah, you got to make it. You got to make it like a team, though. You know, like it's like you said, like the open, the warm up, the headline, the close. You're all working together to make the night pull off the night.
And this is a random thing, but dress professionally. Carry yourself like a professional. I see some people who dress like trash, and then they're like, "Oh, I can't get a gig." It's like I know people that have been let go because of their appearance.
Yeah.
Like if you dress nice.
Hey, Bachelor, I was in the meeting when you got fired from family. I've told him that though.
You got to dress nice, and like because I carried myself like a professional, you'd get gigs for the functions at Cloudland, and they pay awesome, and then you can get booked anywhere. If you're just a nice person, you carry yourself well, and you play a good set. You don't have to be a big swinging dick. I only play headlines. This, that. Oh, one time I played with Will Sparks. No one cares. The general manager does not care. Unless you're like an actual celebrity, the general manager does not care. So just be a good person.
Yeah, just be down.
I don't mean to sound negative. I rant a lot.
Oh, no, but this is totally information that people need to know. Like, you know, like people need to know this kind of stuff. But I do want to know about the app. So let's talk about the app that you had.
Because that was a big, long way around.
Because that was a big, you know, like that was something that I was, you know, when I heard about all that back in the day, that was a big...
I'll consolidate.
So consolidate into tell us about what the app was and what you did and how it...
The app was kind of like Tinder for food. The idea was that, Tinder for food and activities. The idea was that you don't go back and forth. What do you feel like? Oh, I feel like this, blah, blah. It's just go out and experience the city. And it's like a really curated list of amazing things to do so that anything you can do would be awesome. It was all about spontaneity.
What was it called? It
was called a Roundabout. And so like food, drinks, activities, and you could just swipe left, right, whether you want to do it. If you swiped yes, you could add it to your list and you could see all about it. You could book it in, blah, blah. Cool, not essential.
Yeah.
Cool idea, not essential. In the startup world, they talk about vitamins and painkillers. It was absolutely a vitamin. It was almost like a gummy bear. It was like everyone who saw it was like, this is sick, but not enough to be like, I need that.
Yeah.
So because I was young, motivated, not much experience, but thought I had more than I did because I had that first company. But running a small business is incredibly different to running a tech company.
Yeah.
And then spoke to like the most fucking expensive developers I could have picked. And of course, they're like, yeah, let's build it.
Pay us for it. We'll build it.
There's a quote that says, don't ask a barber if you need a haircut. It's like, they're of course going to get me to build it. And funnily enough, they actually went bankrupt about 18 months ago, which is absurd because the amount of money they charge was through the roof. Anyway, I was really motivated, young. I was just a perfect like target for these people. So in startups, you want to do what's called validation. So find out what people want and then build it. Don't build it and see if people want it.
Yeah.
But these people just wrote me into a contract. And like we had a lot of downloads, a lot of traction, a lot of followers, a lot of media attention. But that's what's called vanity metrics. It doesn't make money. So I just wanted to...
You've got to be able to leverage it then into actual making
and you got to have a business model. I just had like, when it's big enough, we'll pay people for advertising or someone will buy it. Obviously not how it works.
Yeah.
And then, so that was fun and I ran that for 2 years and it kind of worked in well with DJing and I knew people and we had all the food influence doing stuff. And I wouldn't change a thing. I thought it was fantastic and I love everything about it, but not a good business model. And I lost $200,000 when I was 21. So that was an expensive lesson.
Yeah.
But it's part of it. Everyone I've like told that to, investor, like, dude, you have to, like some investors will not invest with you unless you've had a fuck up.
Yeah. Because that's like, you've already, now you know.
It's like, what gig have you bombed at?
It's like, now you're not going to do that again.
Yeah. When is your equipment broken at a club? Because if you don't, well, how are you going to handle it? So but that times bit more. But like, like
200 grand.
the things that make you a really good DJ, when I were tanging back to DJing, is like when things go wrong, how do you handle it?
Yeah.
I've seen some DJs cry and leave the decks and can't do it, but like I've had gigs where the sound will not work. Like you can't figure it out, or the CDJ is fucked, and turning it on and off doesn't work, or the RCA is wrong, or like the mix is rooted. Like, how do you overcome that? Because even though it's stressful, that's what makes you a really good, reliable DJ.
Yeah.
But with the app, I did that for 2 years, and then I was getting I was starting to be like, okay, where's this actually going? And I was getting an R&D return, which is a research and development, because when you're building technology with an unclear outcome, where you can't buy off-the-shelf technology or whatever, you can get a 45 cents on the dollar from the government. So I was getting about 45 grand back, and I was like, okay, I called my mentor, and I was like, do I put this back into a black hole of money with no end in sight, or do I cut my losses and just move on to the next thing? And he said, strategic retreat is not the same as quitting, because I'm always like, never quit, never quit. He's like, I know you never want to quit, but cutting your losses is not the same as quitting.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? It's time to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So I did. And then to make some of the money back, so I had 100 grand was my own money, 100 grand was a loan. So I had to pay that back.
Yeah.
And then I just got to work on paying that back. And that, I paid it off pretty quick. I was grinding. I was DJing 6 nights a week. I was designing websites. I was doing social media marketing for people.
Could get it.
I ended up paying it off in like 9 months or something crazy. But it was awful 9 months, because it was like, every time I'd buy a sandwich, I'm like, this isn't even my money. Like, I owe this money to someone else. So I hate being in debt. So I grinded it out. And that's how I started doing marketing, because as part of the app, one thing we did really well was marketing.
Yeah.
We had really cool ideas. We had a lot of press releases. I was in Kurumau, live TV. We had all the food influencers. Like, that's the story for another day with the marketing strategy there.
Yeah.
But I started, because agencies were too expensive for me to work with, I started doing my own websites, my own social media, my own press releases, etc. And then ended up doing that for other people to make money. And then was like, hey, I'm actually like
good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, they paid $1,500 for that website. Oh shit! Well, what about this other person? And then kept going and going. And then years later, there's 10 of us, and we run a digital marketing company.
Is that what you're doing now? Like that was going to be my next question eventually.
Yeah. So what
are you doing now?
Digital marketing, predominantly for real estate, but also getting back into startups. So designing software, and I'm so fascinated with artificial intelligence that I'm so far down that rabbit hole. But I love,
it's crazy,
I like marketing. What I love is technology and startups. And the thing that I've been thinking about lately is that, and this is important for young people, when people fall into careers or businesses kind of by accident and not by design, but then years will go by and they'll be like, oh, well, I can't change now because this is what I have. So let's say you get out of uni and you don't like accounting, but your uncle owns an accounting firm. So you do accounting and you're like, I'm just doing this because it's what's available now.
Yeah.
With the plan of getting a job I actually like later on. Nothing against accountants. Or you saying, no, you get the point. Yeah. But 5 years go by. Or maybe a bit more, because you're comfortable and you're doing things and you get a bit of money, and then you maybe buy a house or something. And then you go, I don't like accounting, but I can't change now because that's what I've done for the past 10 years. So it's like you fell into it by accident.
You totally can change, though.
You can change. Yeah. But people take what's in front of them now, which is fine because that's what you need to do because you've got to be practical. But don't forget to build a life you actually want.
Yeah.
Because then time goes by and you're like, oh, I can't, I'm an accountant. And it's like, well, no, you just took that because that's what was there.
And that's useful skills for setting up a business and there's heaps of other things you can do where that skill is highly valuable for you.
100%. And that could be anything. You could be law, you could be hospitality, it could be anything. Hospitality, really good with talking to people. You can sell things. And Jim Carrey did a speech about this. His dad was an accountant and then he got fired after like 40 years and he never did what he wanted to do, but he just did that because it was, got to have an income.
Yeah.
And the point was you can fail at what you don't like. So you may as well do what you do like.
Yeah.
The only reason I use accounting as an example, if you love accounting, that's great. I just remember because a guy used to drop me to school and he was an accountant and he goes, I don't like accounting. I just did it because it was the first job I got out of school.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like 30 years have gone by.
Yeah.
You spent 30 years in a job you don't like.
Yeah.
Fuck, that makes me sad.
I always sort of say that like I'd prefer to fail at music than succeed at anything else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd prefer to give it a crack and maybe it doesn't work and it doesn't end up what I want it to be.
One of my favorite quotes, I can't remember who said it, I need to find out, but it says, there's no greater tragedy than wholeheartedly committing to the wrong thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Imagine if it's like learning how to get really fast at running to run in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It's like, now you just got to come back again. It's like,
Oh, man.
I think people need to spend more time looking inward and going, what do I actually want to do? What actually
Yeah.
makes me happy?
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah,
of just distracting yourself. Oh, that's what I was meant to say before. Another reason is, one, we're distracted, but two, people don't look inward because to look inward, they have to admit that they're not where they want to be.
You've got to
that's
be
uncomfortable.
honest with yourself. That's huge.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, it's like-
actually, I'm doing all these things wrong, and like call yourself out almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I use like fitness as an example. Like, if you're overweight and you want to get in shape, it starts by admitting, fuck, I'm overweight. I'm not where I want to be.
And I need to do something about
And that's
it.
uncomfortable, right? But there's nothing wong with that because that's what it takes to
Yeah.
break through that wall. But instead, they go watch Netflix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing
for
wrong with
sure.
Netflix. I keep like hedging my comments
Netflix.
because everyone's like, "Oh, wait, are you saying that?" But no.
Are you saying that Netflix is this?
So you're saying
You're saying
you're
that
racist.
Netflix is terrible.
So you're
I gotta
racist and
I gotta go
sexist.
take a piss quickly.
Yeah, do you think,
And
man?
then we'll come back and
Yeah, sweet.
keep going. Well, let's just talk about what you're doing now quickly. Some
Yeah.
digital, because you're in that digital marketing or
Yeah.
space. Tell us a little bit about sort of what you do. Like, I'm not sure if you've probably picked it up, but I'm a huge believer in like Gary V and all his sort of stuff. Obviously, from what I don't know, you probably have seen a bit of his stuff. And
Yeah, he was a big reason I got into digital marketing.
yeah.
I love Gary V. So we do mostly social media marketing, Facebook and Google advertising, and web design.
Yeah.
And we also do stuff on the side like graphic design and marketing funnels and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, digital marketing is so critically important in today's world. And if you're not doing it, it's not even like, it's not the future. It's like now. It's like a necessity.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to do it. Otherwise, what are you doing? And it changes so quickly that you kind of need to be up to date with what's happening.
Yeah, like Reels. Reels came out just recently, and that's gonna change the landscape again instantly, So
And learn about advertising because there's so much saturation out there now, and the algorithms change that it's really hard to have organic growth. Like, I would really recommend running ads. It can even be $5 a day or $2 a day. It doesn't really matter. But I reckon,
and the cost on the Facebook has just gone down dramatically recently. Hey,
well, it's actually gone up, depending on industry you're in. But it could triple and still be worth the money. Like,
I've seen it go down for me. Like I was running it. Like maybe I've just gotten better at targeting and all that kind of stuff. But I've seen it go down from for a view on something go from 20 cents a view to like 1 cent.
Yeah.
Like just recently.
Well, it's all about having good content.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing.
Because there's like a quality score where Facebook determines what is good quality, and good quality and relevance is determined by how much it resonates with the audience. So that if people aren't liking and commenting and sharing, they're going to go, this is not engaging, let's push it down, which means you're going to have to pay more to push it out. So
I think the CPM costs have definitely come down recently. A lot of big players have got out of the game, the Facebook marketing, so costs have come down because there's less
and go
demand.
hard. Like when shit like COVID happens, like if you can, go hard because everyone else is pulling out. Like with our clients, we went harder. We increased their ad spend.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is backing off.
Yeah.
Because they, cutting costs.
Yeah.
But that's a great opportunity. Think about like a pool and it's full of fish, and if some of the fish leave, that's more for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that was a weird analogy. But like if there's less competitors, it's good for you because you can have more of a presence. But yeah, if you've never done Facebook ads, I really recommend it. Even if it's something that you're not selling, like even if it's your mixes or your whatever, like create good content.
Hit me up for a consult or hit Mitch up for a consult and we'll sort you out.
Yeah. It's all about relevancy. So who are your customers?
It's got to be good content at the end of the day.
Fuck yeah.
Like if it's shit, it's shit.
Otherwise, you're just loud and annoying.
Yeah.
They say there's a quote that's like, marketing will accelerate your failure if your product sucks.
Yeah.
So make sure what you're doing is good.
Yeah,
But
sure.
learn more about the digital space, definitely.
And there's so much info out there, about it. Like
the only problem is it's too much info and you kind of got to filter through some crap. But
once you get onto the good people, like the people who actually know what they're talking about, it's really good.
Yeah, you can check out things like HubSpot and Digital Marketer. They're normally a bit less fluffy because you got like the Americans who are like, learn how to make $600,000 a year in the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
That stuff's a bit, and it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a sales pitch. But if you learn about Facebook ads, learn about Instagram marketing, learn about things like TikTok, learn about whatever's relevant for you. A lot of our clients in real estate, so TikTok's not like super relevant, but for a DJ, fuck yeah, like you should be all over that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
TikTok ad, it's about to get banned in the US. Maybe it's about to get walked by Microsoft. But
Oh,
learn
well,
about
man, Reels are gonna. I think Reels are gonna just take a huge market share off TikTok.
yeah,
That's what I feel anyway, because it literally is.
wherever people are, learn that.
It literally is TikTok on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like,
And if you're really stuck, look at what the people in your space, the number one people in your space, what are they doing? So if you're looking
that's
at
a
DJs,
huge thing.
yeah, what's Steve Aoki doing? What's Calvin Harris doing? What's fucking Cardi B doing? You know what I mean? Like, look at what they do and then use them for ideas. Because you don't have to, you're not the first person to do digital marketing as a musician, right?
Yeah.
So look at the people who do it really well, like Diplo's.
And
always
in
got
your
funny stuff.
space as well, you know,
Yeah.
like, because, you know, you got to think about who is it that you're trying to reach in your market. Like, if you do like melodic progressive house, probably don't look at what Steve Aoki does.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a totally different demographic of audience. Like, look at what people in your space do.
Yeah, and
You
what
know?
your audience wants.
Yeah, exactly. You've got
Yeah.
to know your audience then as well.
Big time.
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
but then as much as I love marketing, and I'm still doing it, I'm building some software at the moment. I finally found a tech co-founder. I've always wanted to collaborate with someone who can do the tech.
do the thing, yeah.
'Cause I can
Because that's
yeah.
the thing. Like, with you know this from apps, like, and I feel like, you know, like back in the day, like, and it's always funny nowadays. Like, you walk into like a house party somewhere, and there's some guys on coke or some shit, and they've, you know, back in the day, it used to be the saying that like, people would get on coke and come up with a business idea to start a business, and now I feel it's like people get on coke and then it's like, oh, they come up with an app idea.
Yeah.
You know, like oh,
But
we should
ideas
totally make this app.
Ideas
But
are easy.
that's what
execution
I was
is
going to
hard.
say to you, like, because I know you believe in this too. It's like, it's all great to have a great idea, but if you can't execute it, then it doesn't
Yeah,
matter at all.
big time.
Like, who cares? Like,
Exactly.
an idea is an idea.
Oh, mate,
until
an
it's-
idea.
until you make it happen.
You
It's
take a
not,
pill every day and you don't have to do any workout and you'll lose weight. Okay, $1 billion idea. Go do it. You know?
yeah. Or it's like, oh man, let's come up with a drug that cures cancer.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
well, yeah, that's a great idea, but
Yeah.
like, you've got to be able to do it. Like,
yeah.
that's
What if you could like make money free? Sick idea.
yeah. What if you could make a tree that grows
Or
money?
even like, even if you do have a legitimate idea that actually makes sense and it's not an exaggeration like what we just said, you have to execute it.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've got this great idea for the podcast eventually. Like, I've got a goal to do like a VR podcast where someone could sit there, or they could sit here, or they could sit over there while we're talking and experience
You can do that now.
the podcast. I know you could do
Yeah.
that now, but why? Because
Yeah.
no one's going to sit there and do that.
Well, that's the
because
thing. Do
that-
people want it?
that's why I wouldn't do it now. But
Yeah.
like, you can, and it's an idea, and it's
They
cool,
did it
and
in
it's
the
a
NBA,
niche,
which is cool.
and it's a cool, but it's like, it's in the back of the mind to be like, we could totally do it now, but is it worth it? And it's not.
They did it in the NBA because they're playing in a bubble in Orlando because no one can come to the games because of COVID. But they sell like seats with VR and it's like you're sitting courtside, which is clever.
That's where it does make sense
Yeah.
to do, you know? Or if like, you know, like if Joe Rogan did that
Yeah.
with the VR seats in the studio,
You could sit in Joe Rogan's studio.
like that would sell.
Yeah.
Or Joe's never going to see this. I'm totally going to hit him
See,
up
but
about
this is the
that.
thing.
But
Idea.
that's totally an idea. But
Yeah.
if you can't execute and you haven't got the audience for it, like, there's no point in me doing it.
Yeah.
But like, if Joe Rogan did it, he'd probably make a shitload of money. Like,
Yeah.
pay $5 for a seat in the podcast. Like,
Fuck yeah, that's a good idea, Joe Rogan.
Joe, oh, do it. Wait. I will literally buy a VR headset
Joe,
and
buddy.
do that.
Our good mate Joe Rogan.
But that's it, you know, like, it's an idea is an idea, and
Yeah.
unless you can execute and actually make it work, it's like, so many people are like, I'll get this idea, but I'm not going to tell anyone because like they'll steal it. And it's like, well, fuck, like,
Yeah, because they watch The Social Network and things that they can't tell anyone.
yeah. So it's it's just a funny thing. I think that, you know, like, it used to be a business idea, now it's like an app idea because it's something that everyone uses, and they think that you can just do it, but it's like,
Just
well,
learn
you
how to
can't.
solve problems.
Yeah, that's it.
What are the
really.
problems you can solve in your own life? Maybe
Yeah.
it's like, for me, I have a cat, and no matter how much I wash these fucking clothes, I've always got cat hair on me. And the lint rollers are annoying because you got to... Someone make an infinite lint roller that actually works. Or clothing that doesn't attract hair. There you go.
Or maybe
There's a
like
big idea for ya.
some kind of drug that you can just inject your animal with that they just stop shedding hair.
Yeah, probably have other repercussions to it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, but if you could come up with it, like,
yeah. There you go.
if you could actually
Brilliant.
make it,
Mate, don't tell anyone.
don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. We might, you know,
We'll
they
cut that bit
might
out.
steal that idea. Yeah, but it's funny because, like, you know, a lot of those ideas, and I've come up with like these ideas before in the past and gone, oh, that's genius. I've never heard of that. Like, totally. And then you like Google it and there's like thousands of people with that
Yeah.
same idea.
And that doesn't mean that you can't do it, but you just gotta learn how to do it better.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like a better mousetrap, whatever they say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So where can we find you? Like socials and stuff, or
At Mitch-
even maybe if they're interested in the business stuff with the digital marketing, like how do we find you for that?
personal Instagram at Mitch Hills. That's probably where I post most of my stuff.
Yeah.
Post stuff every day, just about random shit like this.
Yeah.
If you want to check out the business, it's masteredmarketing.com or
Yep.
at masteredmarketing. But yeah, at Mitch Hills is probably the best place to catch up with me.
Yeah, we'll chuck, you know, links in the show notes and stuff like that. But
Sweet.
thanks for coming in, man. Like it was,
Hey, it's been awesome.
It was a great chat. I really like talking to people who are a little bit more in the business mind because that's where my head is at the moment. So yeah, thanks for coming in, man.
Hey, my pleasure. I'll come
And,
back again soon for some more beers when I don't have to drive somewhere else to another brewery.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, this is a good time to announce this Friday, because this will be out on Monday. So Friday from this, we're going to be doing Friday knockoffs live in real life in the Valley at a venue. So Friday knockoffs is I don't know if you've seen it, it's the digital. Every Friday I do a from 6 onwards web chat video hangout,
Sick.
open to anyone. And we literally just drink beers and talk shit. Exactly what we're doing now. But
Yeah.
on there. So I sort of like preface it as like, it's like, you know, it's like talking shit at the pub, but in the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe. But now
COVID safe.
we're actually going to go to a venue next week, and it's just casual, like 8 till 12. I want it to be like a pre-drinks meetup. Like if you're playing a gig in a venue
Yeah.
at 9 or whenever, just come in for a drink beforehand. If you just want to come and just have a few drinks, 8 till 12. If you're going out that night, just come in for a few prees, you know, and then go to wherever you're going.
Sweet.
Or even if you don't really have plans of where you want to go, come and meet up with another group who's doing something and go, fuck, I'll come do that with you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, just a little like social sort of like
Whatever
thing.
you're
So,
doing. Friday knockoffs.
Friday
Next
knockoffs.
Friday.
Next Friday. So let's, I'll see you guys there if you're out. So thanks for coming in, man.
My pleasure.
I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
I gotta go to a brewery in Salisbury.
Oh,
I should probably get Uber there.
I've got to go to a brewery. Yeah. Well, see where you're parked. If you want to, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to talk about
They
that.
don't need
now.
the logistics.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. You
Thanks,
have a
guys.
good day or night wherever you are. See
Take
you
it
guys
easy.
soon.